The stars looked peaceful from the observation deck of the USNS Mercy II. Dr. Lisa Crawford sipped her coffee slowly, enjoying the brief moment of quiet. After 16 hours of surgery, her muscles ached with fatigue. Still, she felt satisfied. The Sithari child would live despite injuries that would have been fatal without human medical technology. Lisa checked her watch. In 20 minutes, she needed to start her rounds. The hospital ship carried over 2,000 patients from 37 different species. Each had their own biology, their own medical needs, and their own stories. Lisa knew most of them by name. "Doctor, you should rest," said Nurse Peter Johnson as he entered the observation deck. His kind eyes showed concern. "You've been working since yesterday." Lisa smiled. "Soon. I want to check on the Sithari boy first. His vital signs are stable. His father hasn't left his side." "That's good. Many Sithari still don't trust us." Peter nodded. The Sithari Dominion had been hostile toward human expansion from the beginning. While most alien species welcomed Earth's medical ships, the lizard-like Sithari viewed offering help to the weak as a strange concept. Their culture believed in survival of the strongest. The ship's communication system suddenly crackled to life. "All medical personnel report to emergency stations. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill." Lisa's coffee cup fell from her hand. In 3 years aboard medical ships, she had never heard that alert. "What's happening?" Peter asked, his face pale. Before Lisa could answer, the ship shook violently. The lights flickered and turned red. Emergency alarms began to wail throughout the vessel. "We're under attack," Lisa said, though she could hardly believe her own words. "But that's impossible. We're a hospital ship." They ran toward the medical bay. In the hallway, they passed Captain Alan Wright, heading to the bridge. His face was grim. "Captain, what's going on?" Lisa called out. "Sithari battlecruiser," he shouted back without stopping. "They're firing on us. Get your patients to the escape pods if you can." The next blast hit closer. Lisa and Peter were thrown against the wall. When she stood up, she saw that Peter's arm was bleeding badly. "Go to the bridge," she told him, tearing a strip from her coat to make a quick bandage. "Tell the captain we need more time to evacuate the critical patients." "What about you?" "I'm going to the children's ward." They separated at the next junction. Lisa ran through corridors now filling with smoke. Crew members and medical staff were helping patients move toward escape pods. Some patients couldn't be moved, those on life support or in the middle of treatments. Lisa's heart sank, knowing many wouldn't survive an evacuation. When she reached the children's ward, she found 2 nurses already moving the young patients. "The Sithari boy," Lisa asked. "Where is he?" One nurse pointed to a bed in the corner. The child was awake, his yellow eyes wide with fear. Next to him stood his father, a tall Sithari warrior in traditional armor. "You need to get to an escape pod," Lisa told them, reaching for the medical disconnects to prepare the boy for transport. The Sithari father grabbed her wrist. "Why are you helping us? Your people are dying because of mine." Lisa pulled free and continued her work. "Because that's what we do. He's my patient." Another blast rocked the ship, more violent than before. The lights went out completely, leaving only the dim emergency lighting. "We're losing power," said one of the nurses. "Life support will fail soon." Lisa finished disconnecting the boy's monitors. "Take him to escape pod section C, it's closest." The Sithari father lifted his son gently. For a moment he stared at Lisa. "You knew this was coming, didn't you? This is some kind of trick." "We're doctors," Lisa said firmly. "We don't trick, we heal. Now go before it's too late." As they left, Lisa moved to the next patient, a young human girl with burn injuries. The ship shuddered again. This time, part of the ceiling collapsed nearby. Lisa's communicator buzzed. It was Captain Wright's voice, strained and breaking up. "All personnel, abandon ship and direct hit to the medical bay. Core breach imminent." On the bridge, Captain Wright watched the approaching Sithari vessels on the main screen. 2 more had joined the first, surrounding the hospital ship. His communications officer lay dead beside him, killed by exploding equipment when the first torpedoes hit. "This is Captain Alan Wright of the Earth medical vessel USNS Mercy II," he said into the emergency channel that broadcast to all ships in range and back to Earth. "We are unarmed. We carry only medical personnel and patients. Please, cease fire." The only response was another volley of weapons fire. The ship's shields were failing. Wright knew the Mercy II was lost. His duty now was to save as many lives as possible and to make sure Earth knew what had happened here. "Final log," he said into the recorder. "The Sithari have attacked without warning or provocation. They're targeting the medical stations deliberately. Mercy II is lost. They killed our healers. May God forgive them because humanity won't." In her office on Earth, Fleet Admiral Susan Blackwood watched the transmission with growing horror. Around her, the command center was silent. The final images from the Mercy II showed the ship breaking apart, escape pods launching in all directions. Many were destroyed by Sithari weapons fire before they could get away. "Casualties?" Susan asked, her voice steady despite her rage. Commander William Gray checked the incoming data. "Initial reports show 87% of personnel and patients lost. The Sithari targeted the escape pods, ma'am." Susan stood up slowly. In 20 years of space exploration, humanity had maintained a policy of peaceful contact. Their fleet consisted mainly of science vessels and hospital ships. They had believed that showing compassion would earn respect. "They think our mercy makes us weak," she said quietly. "That our compassion is a disadvantage." "Admiral?" Gray looked up from his screen. "Recall all medical ships immediately. Get them to safe harbors." Susan turned to face the room full of officers. "And contact the Defense Council. It's time to activate the Angel Protocol." "Ma'am, the Angel Protocol has never been more than a theoretical contingency," Gray said. "We've never built those ships, trained those troops. The plans exist. Now we build them." Susan looked back at the screen showing the debris field that had been the Mercy II. "The Sithari believe we're easy targets because we chose to help rather than harm. They're about to learn that those who know best how to heal also know exactly how to hurt." Throughout human space, the news spread quickly. Hospital ships that had been symbols of humanity's compassion now fled to safety. In their place, a new kind of vessel would soon emerge. The angels of death were coming, and they would bring a terrible knowledge with them. The intimate understanding of how life worked and how it could be taken away. 3 days after the destruction of the USNS Mercy II, 17 alien ships arrived at Earth. They came from different worlds and civilizations, but they shared one purpose: to stand with humanity. The Sithari attack on a hospital ship had shocked the galaxy. In the United Nations Great Hall, representatives from each species spoke of their outrage. The Vel ambassador, whose people had once been saved from a plague by human doctors, wept openly. The Zarathi High Commander, whose civilization had fought 3 wars with the Sithari, offered military support. Admiral Susan Blackwood listened to their speeches with a polite face, but her mind was elsewhere. After the meeting, she slipped away to a small aircraft waiting on the roof. "Take me to Site Omega," she told the pilot. The aircraft flew west, over cities and farms, until it reached the Rocky Mountains. It descended toward what looked like an ordinary military base. But beneath the visible buildings lay the real Site Omega, a massive underground complex built years ago as a contingency. Susan's security clearance opened doors that few knew existed. She walked through long tunnels carved into the mountain, passing checkpoints where guards stood at attention. Finally, she reached a large chamber filled with people in military uniforms. Commander William Gray met her at the entrance. "They're ready, Admiral." Susan nodded and stepped onto a small platform. The room fell silent as the men and women turned to face her. "6 days ago, you were all doctors, nurses, and medics," Susan began. "You worked on hospital ships, in clinics, in research labs. You saved lives. You dedicated yourselves to healing." She paused, looking at their faces. "Now you are the first members of the 1st Special Combat Medical Battalion. You are the Angels of Death." The room remained silent. These people had not signed up for combat. They had chosen medicine, not war. I know this isn't what you planned, Susan continued. But the Scythari have changed everything. They attacked our hospital ships, they killed patients, they targeted escape pods, and they believe they can do this without consequences because healers don't fight back. She pressed a button and a large screen lit up showing images of the Mercy 2 breaking apart. We recovered this footage from an escape pod's recorder. The Scythari destroyed a clearly marked hospital ship, killing over 2,000 patients and medical staff. Their next targets will be the Compassion, the Hope, and the Solace. Major Olivia Daniels stood in the front row. Yesterday, she had been the youngest neurosurgeon ever to graduate from Johns Hopkins. Today, she wore a military uniform with no previous combat experience. Why us? Olivia asked. Why not use trained soldiers? Susan walked down from the platform to stand before her. Because you understand anatomy in a way no soldier ever could. You know exactly how bodies work, how they break, and how they die. Your knowledge was meant to save lives. Now, it will protect the innocent by stopping those who would harm them. Next to Olivia stood Captain Frank Martinez. 6 months ago, he had been treating refugees on the outer colonies when a virus broke out. He had stayed when others fled, saving hundreds. We took oaths, Frank said. We promised to do no harm. And the Scythari took advantage of that oath, Susan replied. They saw your compassion as weakness. They were wrong. Humanity's greatest strength has always been our ability to adapt. She walked back to the platform and pressed another button. The screen changed to show a new ship design. This is the USNS Retribution. On the outside, it appears to be an ordinary medical vessel, but it has been modified with experimental technology developed for this exact scenario. Your training begins today. In 3 weeks, you will deploy. The room erupted with questions. Susan raised her hand for silence. I know you have doubts. I know this goes against everything you believe in. But remember those who died on the Mercy 2. Remember the patients who were killed in their beds, the children targeted in escape pods. If we do nothing, it will happen again. After the briefing, Olivia found herself in a training room with 20 other former doctors. An instructor showed them how to use their medical knowledge for a different purpose. A human heart can withstand this much pressure, the instructor said, pointing to a diagram. A Scythari heart can withstand much less. You know exactly where to strike, how hard, and what will happen after. Olivia felt sick. She had spent years learning how to fix hearts, not stop them. Frank stepped up beside her. I keep thinking about my hospital on Colony 7. The day before I left, I treated a Scythari merchant. Fixed his breathing problems. He thanked me. And now we're learning how to kill his people, Olivia said quietly. No, we're learning how to protect our people. Frank's eyes were hard. The Scythari who attacked the Mercy 2 made their choice. We're making ours. In another part of the facility, a group worked on modified medical equipment. Dr. Linda Foster, who had developed revolutionary trauma care techniques, now showed how a standard medical scanner could be used to detect weak points in Scythari armor. Their body temperature runs higher than ours, she explained. The scanners can detect heat signatures through their ship's hulls. We'll know exactly where they are while they won't see us coming. Commander Kevin Nash, formerly the head of xenobiology research, demonstrated how understanding Scythari biology provided advantages. Their nervous system has clusters at these 5 points, he said, pointing to a holographic model. Pressure here doesn't kill, but causes temporary paralysis. We can disable without killing. Across the facility, the transformation continued. People who had dedicated their lives to healing were now becoming something new. Not quite soldiers, but not just doctors either. 3 weeks later, Admiral Blackwood stood in the launch bay of the Retribution. Before her were the 400 members of the First Angel team, dressed in combat suits designed to look like medical uniforms. The Scythari have attacked 2 more medical stations since the Mercy 2, she told them. They believe we are weak. They believe we will not fight back. They are about to learn how wrong they are. She looked at their faces, determined, resolute, but still carrying the weight of what they were about to do. Remember your training. Remember that every Sithari, civilian, is not your enemy. Your targets are military only. Your mission is surgical precision, not widespread destruction. Olivia and Frank stood side by side, leading their respective teams. When they boarded the ship, they passed a memorial wall with the names of everyone lost on the Mercy II. At the top of the list was Dr. Lisa Crawford. Frank touched the name briefly. For you, Doctor, and for all the others. The Retribution lifted off from Earth, appearing to all observers as a normal hospital ship. But inside, the Angels of Death prepared for their first mission. They would show the galaxy that those who understand how to heal also understand exactly how to harm, and that attacking Earth's healers had been the Sithari's greatest mistake. The Retribution arrived at the Sithari outpost on Proxima Centauri 4 after 7 days of travel. From the outside, it looked like any other human medical ship. Its white hull bore the Red Cross symbol, and it broadcast standard medical frequencies. The Sithari had no reason to suspect anything different about this vessel. Captain Frank Martinez stood on the bridge, watching the blue-green planet grow larger on the view screen. Unlike Earth, this world had 2 small moons and vast oceans that covered nearly 80% of its surface. The Sithari had claimed it 5 years ago, building a military outpost that also housed around 3,000 civilians. Send the message, Frank told the communications officer. A young woman who had once been a nurse pressed a few buttons. USNS Retribution to Proxima Centauri 4 outpost. We are a medical vessel responding to reports of a viral outbreak among your civilian population. Requesting permission to dock and provide assistance. The response came quickly. A Sithari face appeared on the screen, scales gleaming under the lights of their command center. Human vessel, we have no outbreak here. Your assistance is not needed. Frank stepped forward. We have detected unusual biosigns consistent with the Terran virus. It affects Sithari differently than other species. Your people may be infected without showing symptoms yet. We can help. There was a long pause. Frank knew the Sithari were suspicious, but they also feared disease. Their biology made them vulnerable to certain viruses that humans could easily treat. Very well, the Sithari commander finally said. You may dock at the Western Medical Bay. A security team will meet you. The transmission ended. Frank turned to Major Olivia Daniels, who stood nearby. They took the bait, he said. Olivia nodded. Team 1 prepares for medical pretense. Team 2 moves through the maintenance shafts. Team 3 secures the landing area. Frank checked his weapon hidden beneath his medical coat. It looked like a standard medical scanner but could fire a concentrated nerve agent that would paralyze a Sithari instantly without killing them. Remember the plan, Frank told the assembled angels. No civilian casualties. Military targets only. We disable the communications array, secure the weapons depot, and lock down the command center. The Retribution docked smoothly at the western bay of the Sithari outpost. As promised, a security team waited for them. 6 Sithari soldiers in full battle armor. Their weapons were drawn but not raised. Frank led the first team down the ramp carrying medical cases. Olivia stayed on the ship, coordinating the operation. 20 human medical personnel followed Frank, all wearing the white and red uniforms of Earth's Medical Corps. We need to examine your civilian population immediately, Frank told the lead Scythari guard in their own language. The virus spreads quickly. The guard's eyes narrowed. How do you speak our language so well, human? I treated many Scythari patients before your people attacked our hospital ships, Frank replied calmly. I learned your language to better help them. This was not a lie. Frank had spent 2 years on the orbital station around Alpha Centauri, where many Sithari merchants came to trade. He had treated their injuries and illnesses without question or judgment. Follow me, the guard said, still suspicious. But your people will be escorted at all times. They walked through the corridors of the outpost. Frank carefully observed the layout, confirming it matched the plans they had studied. When they reached a large central chamber, the guard stopped. Wait here. I will inform the commander of your arrival. As soon as the guard left, Frank gave a small hand signal. 3 of his team immediately placed tiny devices on the walls. Signal, jammers disguised as medical sensors. Another team member subtly scanned the area, mapping guard positions. Meanwhile, Team 2 had entered the outpost through a maintenance shaft, led by Dr. Linda Foster. They moved silently through narrow tunnels that ran behind the main corridors. Linda had memorized the outpost's ventilation system. She knew exactly where each tunnel led and which rooms contained Sithari military personnel. Team 3, under Commander Kevin Nash, secured the landing bay. They disabled the security cameras without alerting the Sithari and prepared the extraction route. When the guard returned with the outpost commander, Frank stepped forward with a medical scanner in hand. "Commander, I need to explain something important about the Terran virus," he said in perfect Scythari. "It attacks the nervous system first." He raised his scanner, which suddenly emitted a high-pitched sound. The Scythari commander and guards instantly collapsed, their nervous systems temporarily paralyzed by the focused sound waves. "All teams, execute now," Frank said into his communicator. Throughout the outpost, the Angels moved with surgical precision. Dr. Foster's team released a sleeping gas into the barracks where off-duty soldiers rested. Commander Nash's team secured the weapons depot, disabling the outpost's heavy artillery. Major Daniels led the final team directly to the command center. When they arrived, 2 Sithari officers reached for alarm controls. Olivia fired her modified scanner twice. Both officers fell without a sound, paralyzed but conscious. "We understand you have a terminal condition," Olivia told them calmly. "We're here to treat it." Within 17 minutes, the entire outpost was under Angel control. Not a single shot had been fired from a conventional weapon. Not a single civilian had been harmed. The Scythari military personnel were all either paralyzed or unconscious, affected by the precise medical knowledge turned into non-lethal weapons. Frank walked through the command center, checking the systems. He accessed the main computer and uploaded a virus, not a biological one, but a digital one. It would spread through the Sithari military network, carrying a message and gathering intelligence. "What happens now?" asked one of his team. "We can't hold this outpost forever." "We don't need to," Frank replied. This was never about taking territory. He pressed a final button on the console. Throughout the outpost, the paralysis gas began to dissipate. The Sithari would regain movement within an hour. "The civilians don't even know what happened," Olivia said, joining him in the command center. "They think there was a medical emergency drill." Frank nodded. "And the military now knows that we could have killed them all, but chose not to. They'll spread that word." Before they left, Frank programmed one last message to appear on all Scythari screens throughout the outpost. "We treated your soldiers as you treated our healers. This is just the first dose of medicine." The Angels withdrew to the Retribution as silently as they had arrived. By the time the Scythari soldiers regained full control of their bodies, the ship was already departing. On the bridge, Frank and Olivia watched the planet recede on the view screen. "Will they understand the message?" Olivia asked. "Some will," Frank replied. "Some won't. But they'll all know now that attacking healers has consequences." The Retribution accelerated away from the planet, its mission complete. As they prepared to jump to faster-than-light travel, Frank received a message from Earth. Admiral Blackwood's face appeared on his screen. "The Sithari have attacked another medical station," she said without preamble. "The USNS Hope was destroyed 6 hours ago." Frank closed his eyes briefly. "More healers dead. More innocent patients killed. New orders, Admiral?" "The Angels are going to war, Captain," Blackwood replied. "Your next target is the Sithari fleet gathering at Bellatrix. This time, no paralysis gas. This time they learn. What happens when humanity truly loses its patience?" Frank looked at Olivia, who nodded grimly. "Understood, Admiral," he said. "The Angels are on their way." The Sithari Supreme Commander Vexkar stood before a large display showing the status of his fleet. 20 warships gathered near the Bellatrix star, preparing for what he believed would be a final push into human space. The destruction of the human medical ships had been his idea. He saw them as easy targets that would break human spirit. The humans are weak, he told his officers. They waste resources healing other species. They help the sick who should be left to die. Nature intends the strong to survive. An aide approached nervously. Supreme Commander, we have news from the Proxima Centauri outpost. Another human. Medical ship destroyed? Vexcar asked with a pleased hiss. No, sir. The outpost was compromised. Temporarily. Vexcar's yellow eyes narrowed. Explain. The aide described how human medical personnel had entered the outpost and somehow disabled every military officer without firing a single shot. No civilians were harmed. No property was damaged. The humans had simply demonstrated they could take control whenever they wished. Impossible, Vexcar snarled. Healers cannot fight. They left a message, sir. They called themselves angels of death. They said this was the first dose of medicine. Vexcar slammed his fist on the table. They use tricks, deception. It changes nothing. Our fleet will continue as planned. Order 3 more battle groups to target human medical stations. The aide hesitated. Sir, some officers are concerned. The humans showed restraint. They could have killed everyone at the outpost, but chose not to. Their restraint is weakness, Vexcar shouted. Now go! As the aide hurried away, Vexcar turned, back to the display. He would not let one setback change his plans. The humans would break when they realized they could not protect their healers. Meanwhile, aboard the Retribution, Captain Frank Martinez received new orders. 3 more medical ships had been attacked since their mission to Proxima Centauri. The USNS Hope, Mercy III, and Compassion were all destroyed. Thousands of medical personnel and patients were dead. The Angels are fully activated, Admiral Blackwood told him via secure channel. All 7 Angel ships are deploying. Your target is the Scythari fleet at Bellatrix. Frank looked at the tactical display. 7 human ships against 20 Scythari warships seemed like terrible odds. But the Retribution wasn't going alone. The USNS Judgment, Justice, Vengeance, Consequence Reckoning, and Requiem are all en route to your position. Blackwood continued. Each carries a full Angel battalion. Frank turned to Major Olivia Daniels. We're going to need a different approach this time. Olivia nodded. No more paralysis gas, no more tricks. They need to understand that attacking healers has consequences. The Angels prepared for battle in a way no military force had ever done before. They studied Scythari biology not to help or heal, but to identify vulnerabilities. They modified medical equipment into weapons designed to target specific biological systems. Dr. Linda Foster, who had once saved countless lives with her trauma care techniques, now led a team focusing on the Scythari life support systems. Their ships recycle air through these filtration systems, she explained to her team. If we introduce our engineered nanobots here, we can affect every Scythari on board without damaging the ship itself. Commander Kevin Nash worked on a different angle. His knowledge of Scythari physiology had once helped him treat their illnesses. Now it helped him design a targeted biological agent that would cause extreme discomfort but not death. Their scales grow from specialized cells here, he said, pointing to a diagram. Our agent will make those cells hypersensitive. Every movement will feel like their skin is on fire. 7 days later, the Angel fleet approached Bellatrix. The Scythari detected them immediately. Supreme Commander, a Scythari officer reported to Vexcar. 7 human vessels approaching. They appear to be modified medical ships. Vexcar smiled coldly. More targets, prepare to fire. Sir, they're broadcasting on all frequencies. Let me hear it, Vexcar ordered. A human voice filled the command center. It was Frank Martinez speaking, in perfect Scythari. This is Captain Frank Martinez of the Earth Special Combat Medical Battalion. We are the Angels of Death. You have attacked our medical ships. You have killed our healers. You have murdered our patients. We gave you a warning at Proxima Centauri. You chose not to listen. Vexcar laughed. 7 ships against 20? The humans have gone mad. We do not wish to kill, Frank's voice continued. Unlike you, we value all life. But we will stop you from harming more innocents. You have 1 hour to surrender and withdraw from this sector. After that, we will demonstrate exactly why attacking those who understand life was your worst mistake. Vexcar ordered his ships to attack immediately. The Sithari fleet moved forward, weapons charging. They expected an easy victory. They were wrong. The Angel ships didn't try to evade. They split formation and moved between the Sithari vessels. Before the Sithari could fire, the Angels launched their attack. It wasn't missiles or energy weapons. It was knowledge turned into power. From the Retribution, Dr. Foster's team released specialized nanobots that targeted the Sithari life support systems. The bots moved through filtration systems and air vents, entering the bloodstreams of Sithari soldiers. From the Justice, Commander Nash's team deployed their biological agent. It didn't kill. It didn't even injure permanently. But suddenly, every Sithari on 7 ships felt as if their skin was being peeled away. Their scales became hypersensitive, every touch causing agony. On 5 more ships, Angel teams used modified sonic weapons designed to affect the unique structure of Sithari inner ears. The soldiers couldn't stand, couldn't aim, couldn't fight, as their balance failed them. The remaining Sithari ships tried to fire, but the Angels had studied their weapon systems too. They knew exactly which frequencies would disrupt targeting sensors. They knew precisely how Sithari weapons operated and how to jam them. Within 20 minutes, 14 Sithari warships were dead in space, their crews incapacitated but alive. The remaining 6 turned to flee. "Let them go," Frank ordered when Olivia suggested pursuing. "We want survivors to tell the story." On his flagship, Supreme Commander Vexcar raged as his officers reported ship after ship going silent. Not destroyed, just neutralized. His own vessel had barely escaped the same fate. "How is this possible?" he shouted. "They're healers, not warriors." An older officer replied quietly, "That is why they are winning, Commander. They don't need to learn how to kill us. They already know exactly how we live." Admiral Blackwood received the reports with grim satisfaction. The Angels had disabled more than half the Sithari fleet without killing a single enemy soldier. The message would be clear throughout the galaxy. Humanity's healing knowledge made them not weak, but uniquely dangerous when provoked. She opened a channel to all Angel ships. "Well done. Return to Earth for debriefing." Frank acknowledged the order, but as the Retribution prepared to depart, he looked at the disabled Sithari ships floating in space. "We could have killed them all," he said to Olivia. "Yes," she agreed. "And they know it now. That's the point." The Angel fleet jumped to faster-than-light travel, leaving the Sithari to recover and contemplate what had happened. They had attacked Earth's healers, believing them weak. Now they faced the consequence of that mistake. The discovery that those who understand life completely are the most formidable enemies of all. As they traveled back to Earth, Frank received a private message from Admiral Blackwood. "The Sithari. Homeworld has requested communication," she told him. "They want to talk about peace." 1 month after the battle at Bellatrix, a single human ship entered Sithari space. The USNS Mercy III, named after the destroyed hospital vessel, approached the Sithari homeworld. This time, it truly was a medical ship. It carried no weapons, no Angel battalions, no modified medical equipment designed to harm. Admiral Susan Blackwood stood on the bridge, watching the yellowish-brown planet grow larger on the view screen. The Sithari homeworld was mostly desert, with small oceans near the poles. Its 3 moons created complex tidal patterns that shaped the planet's harsh landscape. "Are we sure about this?" Commander William Gray asked quietly. "Coming here unarmed, after everything that's happened?" Susan nodded. "Peace requires trust and risk." Beside her stood Dr. Lisa Crawford, the sole survivor of the original Mercy II attack. Lisa had been recovered from an escape pod by a passing merchant vessel. She had spent weeks in critical condition before finally recovering. Now she wore an admiral's uniform, having been promoted to lead Earth's renewed medical initiative. "I never thought I'd be here," Lisa said, looking at the planet. "Standing in orbit above the homeworld of the people who killed my patients and friends." "You don't have to do this," Susan told her. "No one would blame you for staying on the ship." Lisa shook her head. I'm a doctor first. That's what this was always about. The communications officer turned from her station. Admiral, the Sithari are hailing us. They're ready for our delegation to shuttle down. Susan took a deep breath. Tell them we're on our way. The shuttle descended through Sithari atmosphere, carrying a small delegation. Admiral Blackwood, Dr. Crawford, Captain Martinez, Major Daniels, and 2 security officers. They landed at a designated area outside the Sithari capital city, sprawling complex of domed buildings that protected the inhabitants from the harsh desert environment. A group of Sithari officials waited for them. At the front stood Supreme Commander Vexkar, his scales dulled with age but his yellow eyes still bright with intelligence. His posture was stiff, not just from pride, but from pain. The Angel's attack had left many Sithari officers with lasting discomfort. Admiral Blackwood, he said as the humans approached. Dr. Crawford, Captain Martinez, Major Daniels, you come unarmed to the heart of our territory. Either very brave or very foolish. We come as we always intended to come, Susan replied, as people seeking peace and offering help. Vexkar led them into a large chamber where other Scythari leaders waited. The peace talks would take place here, in the same room where the decision to attack human medical ships had been made months earlier. You could have destroyed us, Vexkar said once they were all seated. Your angels of death penetrated our defenses as if they didn't exist. Why show restraint? Because before we were soldiers, we were healers, Lisa answered. We understand that for recovery to begin, the infliction of harm must end. The discussions lasted for 3 days. The Sithari, despite their pride, knew they had been defeated not by superior numbers or weapons, but by superior knowledge. The angels had demonstrated that understanding life gave them power over it. The peace treaty took shape slowly. The Sithari would withdraw from recently conquered territories. They would pay reparations for the destroyed medical ships. Most importantly, they would establish their own medical corps, trained by human doctors. This last demand is unusual, Vexkar said on the final day. You wish to teach us your medical skills? The same knowledge that you used against us? Frank Martinez leaned forward. That's exactly the point, Commander. We want you to understand that knowledge isn't just power. It's responsibility. When you know how to heal, you also know how to harm. We choose healing. Olivia Daniels added, your culture values strength. There is nothing stronger than saving a life that could be lost. Vexkar considered this. Finally, he nodded. My own child was saved by a human doctor once. On your mercy too, before I ordered the attack. The room fell silent. Lisa Crawford stared at the Sithari commander. A young boy with internal injuries, she said quietly. I operated on him myself. Vexkar's eyes widened. You saved my son's life? Yes. And then your ships tried to take mine. Lisa's voice remained calm, but her hands trembled slightly. This is why we heal, Commander. Because every life matters, even the lives of those who may become our enemies. There was a long silence. Then Vexkar did something no human had ever seen a Sithari military leader do. He bowed his head. We have much to learn from your people, Doctor. Perhaps healing is not weakness after all. 1 year later, Admiral Blackwood stood aboard a new ship orbiting the Sithari homeworld. The vessel was called Unity, and it served as both a hospital and a training center. Human doctors worked alongside Sithari students, teaching them the medical arts that humans had perfected over centuries. On the observation deck, Susan watched as Frank Martinez demonstrated surgical techniques to a group of young Sithari. Their eager faces reminded her that change was possible, even among those who once saw compassion as weakness. Olivia Daniels joined her by the window. The first Sithari medical ship launches next month. They're calling it Redemption. Susan smiled. A good name. Do you think it will last? Olivia asked. This peace? I think it has a chance. They learned the hard way that attacking healers was a mistake. Because we fought back? Susan shook her head. No. Because we showed them there's another way to be strong. In another part of the ship, Lisa Crawford supervised a Scythari doctor, treating a human patient. The Scythari's clawed hands moved with surprising gentleness as he applied a bandage. "Well done," Lisa told him. "You have a natural talent for this." The Scythari doctor looked up. "My father fought in the war. He was on one of the ships at Bellatrix. He told me what your angels did, how they could have killed everyone but chose not to." Lisa nodded, but said nothing. He said that day he learned, true strength isn't about destruction. It's about having the power to destroy and choosing not to use it. Lisa thought about the Mercy too, about her friends and patients who had died. The pain would never fully heal. But watching this former enemy learn to save lives instead of take them, that was a kind of healing too. "Your father is wise," she said finally. "Remember that lesson when you treat your patients." Throughout the galaxy, the story of Earth's angels of death became legend, not because of the battles they won, but because of how quickly they set aside their weapons when peace became possible. They had shown the Scythari and every other watching species that humanity's capacity for compassion wasn't a weakness. It was their greatest strength. In the decades that followed, human medical ships once again traveled freely through space. They were never attacked again. Every ship still carried the capacity to transform into an angel vessel if needed, but that knowledge remained dormant. A quiet reminder that those who heal best also understand precisely how life works, and that attacking Earth's healers was a mistake no one in the galaxy would ever make again.